Hi, this is Jim Peters with Peters Principles. As you know, you never know who you're going to get on Peters Principles, and today we have the newly elected City Councillor, Karen Cirillo. So, Karen, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
So, before we got started, we were talking about a little something that came up on City Life the other day, and that was the referendum question.
Yes.
And I thought John was a little dogmatic about his idea about the referendum question not being clear. Mm-hmm. And I thought that the referendum question was very clear. So I was just curious as to what you thought about John's arguments and what you thought about the referendum question. And from my standpoint, the referendum question clearly was non-binding, and I think that needed to be a little more understood.
Right. Well, I feel that John is very strong with his opinions, of course, as we all are, and but I agree with you absolutely. The referendum question is clearly stated. I'm not going to say that the people of Lowell would not understand the question, because it was very, very clearly stated. So, but I believed in the referendum question because it was important for me to hear from the city of Lowell and what they had to say. That was, it wasn't just, for me, it wasn't just about the high school staying downtown in option 3. It was about also getting the input from the city of Lowell and how they felt about the referendum question. And it was very important for me to really see and hear what the city had to say about it. So, yeah.
Well, I think the city had to say that they were definitely for the downtown location.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
That was my take on it. It was a 3,000 vote difference between one side and the other. Mm-hmm. So 3,000 votes out of 7,000 cast, 7,000 cast. It's quite a few. Mm-hmm. Quite a few votes. Let me ask you this question, because I think that kind of needed to know this going in. What's your stance on Mayor and City Manager Murphy, and how do you feel the city's going?
Well, I feel that City Manager Murphy is working very hard, mm-hmm. And I really see that being part of City Council, mm-hmm. especially when I am sending him emails and calling him quite often. I'm sure he's tired of hearing from me with regards to the snow removal. But and he gets back to me very quickly, and he looks into everything that I send him. And so I think that he's doing very well, and he's doing, he is working tirelessly, especially after the snowstorm that we had. Mm-hmm. So yes, and we have not, the city, I just want to be clear that the city has not stopped with the snow removal. We are continuing to work really hard as far as that's concerned. So.
Well, that was a jaded question on my part, because I'm very pro Manager Murphy. Mm-hmm. He and I have been friends for all the years that he was a state representative, and he even came on the show once and said, I said, this is City Manager Murphy, and he said, and your friend. And I thought that was kind of nice. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you about this because we had a little discussion about it beforehand. How was your first vote for mayor?
Oh, my first vote for mayor. Well, I have to say it was a very tough choice. because I hold both candidates in very high regard, and I always have. But I did go with Councillor Samaras because there was just a slight edge, higher for me with regards to how I felt that he would bring the city together, and so it was a very difficult choice for me, and I told both of them that I hold them both in very high regard. So yes.
So you're comfortable with the choices that you made?
I am. I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've known Mr. Samaras I've known everybody for 40 years, so I don't know. I've known Mr. Samaras for about 25 years, and he and I are pretty good friends. So the question that I have now is based on what you and I were talking about your list of motions for next week.
Yeah.
Why styrofoam?
It does not degrade. It is not healthy for the environment whatsoever. And I don't know if you've had this happen, but I would bring home food, say chicken wings or something like that, and in the styrofoam, and then when I'd go to heat them up and open up the styrofoam, I would taste that on my food. It's not a healthy. No. It's not healthy whatsoever, and so I'm hoping to have a healthier option. We get those little boxes from the Chinese restaurants, and I think they're great. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's important for the environment to ban. My first motion is to ban the single-use plastic bags, and my third motion.
The type that you get at the malls.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And what I did was I was very clear in saying that I wanted to ban those single-use plastic bags for businesses that are 4,000 square feet and larger, because I did not want to incorporate the small mom and pop stores that don't have a lot of money, and they use the plastic bags. So I was very conscientious of the smaller stores, and I just think if we can curtail some of that, it would be fantastic, and it would be healthier for the city. My second motion is to have the city purchase bags for the elderly and the low income to try and mitigate that cost to them also. So I've been. I know that it might be a hard thing for some, but I did really try to work and see all sides of it, and try to work with the people in my motions and my choices.
It can be done. My wife is a pretty good seamstress, and she made a bunch of cloth bags for herself. And she brings them to the grocery store once a week, and she fills them up. And so we're doing our part to be green, and I'm on the Sustainability Council, so I have to do my part to be green. Right. So.
I'm sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm also thinking we have these mills here in Lowell, and they manufacture fabrics and textiles, right?
Not so much anymore, but
they
still do.
They still do in some fashion, and this could be all around fantastic for the city. We have UTech that's always looking for new and exciting things to do, and why not have UTech look into purchasing some of the fabric making bags and selling them, and we could have this whole fantastic revival of manufacturing. Manufacturing. It's a possibility, and it's kind of exciting to think about.
I got upset with the city a number of years ago when Classic Elite Yarns moved out of the city, and they were our last fabric company that was based in the city, that had its home base in the city, and they were our last fabric company to be here, and they ended up moving out of the city and moving to Billerica, which I thought was really too bad.
Yeah.
And I guess the issue that they had was that they were in the Western Canal. Yeah, right there in the Western Canal. They're in the Western Mill, and they ended up just leaving because they couldn't find an available space, and I thought that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So I would love to see a movement afloat to use the mills for textiles again.
Right, I think that would be fantastic, and the people of Lowell are going to need an alternative to plastic bags.
Yeah.
And actually, it's becoming a movement throughout the country and throughout the city, where people are in need of different types of bags other than plastic.
And I think they're being made in China. So.
And how wonderful would it be if we had them made in Lowell?
That would be good.
Yes.
I was curious about something that you said about the bridges. As you know, we have, I think, 11 bridges that are substandard, highly substandard, and they are primarily throughout the acre. What you have a motion that you're putting forward about the bridges?
Yes, it's regarding the Canal Bridges project and the Tiger Grant, and how hard the DPD has been working on this wonderful project for the city of Lowell. It's fantastic. And since they've been working so hard on this project, my motion is to have them come in and give us a report, the City of Lowell report, with regards to where they are in the process. And the bids are due for the project. The bids are due on January 30th, so I figure now is a good time to have them give us an update.
So what are you looking for in terms of an update? Are you looking for progress on the bridge, or?
I think just an overall. This is what we're doing. This is and also there is a monetary value, and that it's a little over $3 million. So it would be nice for the citizens to know, yes, we are going forward with this, or we're voting on this, and here's why, and this is this is the project that the money is going to be spent on, and this is what's happening. And I know that they had public meetings and hearings, but now I feel it's time to give the city an update.
The bridge over the canal on in front of St. Patrick's Church and Holy Trinity. What's the condition of that one? Do you know?
I can't remember. I did look at the report,
right.
But I just scanned through all the different bridges that are in the report. So
there are like 11 of them, right?
I think that there are 6 that are going to be worked on through the Tiger program. If I recall correctly, and I might not, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. Speaking of being forgetful, I just forgot my next question. Oh boy, it's gone. How did you find campaigning in Lowell? I love to tell a story about you and your in your thing with video games.
Yes.
And, you had a video game out there that just showed your face and said Karen Cirillo for City Council.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
it popped up on people who were playing the video game.
Right.
And I got comments from people. Who's this Karen Cirillo person? And I said, oh, she's running for council. Well, she pops up in my video game. So, did you do that on purpose, or was it?
Well, it was. I had a wonderful team that helped me with my campaign. I had some very, very amazing volunteers that helped, and the progressive Democrats helped with that also. And the work that my volunteers did was just fantastic with the handwritten postcards. It was a very, I like to think it was a very unique campaign. Mm-hmm. But I also worked very hard. I was out in the city, and I was on foot a lot and introducing myself to the city of Lowell, and I took videos here and there and posted them on my page, on my city council page. Yeah, okay. It was pouring rain when I went to Belvedere and walked around with Martha Mayo.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
oh, good.
Yeah. It was pouring rain, and I said, the rain's not going to stop me. It's nice to meet you, Lowell.
Yeah, well, it's rain in Lowell is something that you have to get used to, but.
Yeah, I find that what I like the most about the people of Lowell is their strength of conviction, and they have such strong opinions, and I think that's a wonderful thing, and it's good, and to have that strong voice for the city of Lowell is really, I think it's important.
It's something I think is important, and I usually mention it with everybody who comes in by here, is, do you know Fred Faust?
Oh, Fred, yes.
Okay, Fred Faust and I were talking one day, and he said, let's go down to the Omni building and talk there. So he and I both drove to the Omni building, which happened to be across the street from where my brother-in-law is buried, and across the river from where my brother-in-law is buried. And there was no Omni building. It had been replaced by condos.
Oh.
So I'm a little worried about the fact that the gym building, the West End gym building, boxing
yes.
building, that it is for sale. And I'm a little worried about the non-National Park Service sites that have old mills that are big, they're huge. And what conservation efforts would you make to? I had Governor Michael Dukakis here to deliver a talk to the city fathers, and he did a wonderful job. And speaking of raining, we were underneath the dike on the canal because it was raining so hard in the outer area, and he gave his speech there. So it was a little tighter than I expected it to be, but we got a lot of people, and he just mentioned that these buildings have to be saved, and I totally agreed with him. And
I agree also. I think that our mill buildings are such an integral part. I mean, they are Lowell, in the mill city, and I think I think that we need to save them. Now that building it's privately owned, correct?
It's privately owned and it's
Yes.
on private property.
Right.
Well, it's in the middle of
Right.
the Concord River, but it's on
Right.
private
Yes.
property.
It would be wonderful if we could have,
Do
if
something
we
to
could
save it?
do something to save it, because it's heart-wrenching that boxing club is, you know, it's in.
It's so well known.
Yes, and it's in fear of not being in business, and that's.
Yeah, I had Jason, who's working the controls today, and I had an interesting talk with, who did we talk to, Jason? Arthur O'Mallow, right?
Yeah.
Arthur O'Mallow. We had an interesting talk with Arthur O'Mallow about the entire thing, and he was very helpful and very open about his history and how he got into boxing and
Yeah.
why it's so important to him. And he had a full contingent of people working out in the gym. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not used.
Right, absolutely.
It's very used.
Yes, yes.
And
it's very loved, and it's, yeah.
yeah. I would like to see that mill building be preserved. I was upset when the old Mother Hubbard dog food mill building was put under. Put under is a dog term, right? But I just would like to see that Mill City, that building survive. And I don't think we have that many mills left that we can just go in and tear them down. And I was surprised when I was on the zoning commission that I had virtually no leverage in terms of saving historical structures. That wasn't part of the job. So the zoning commission doesn't do that part of the job.
Right.
The historic board does. And the historic board kind of effectively has their feet and hands tied by the fact that well, they're the historic board, and they largely perform their function in the National Park Service zone.
Right, yeah.
So what I'd like to see is something like Wanalancet come out of it. Wanalancet, I got the opportunity to show Wanalancet to Annie Glenn, John Glenn's wife.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
She must have loved it.
And she, strangely enough, the story of Annie Glenn is that she was a great stutterer. The whole night I didn't hear her stutter a word.
Really? Wow.
So I don't know whether how great a stutterer Annie Glenn actually is or was, but I don't think she wasn't that night.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So my wife and I took her around to the Wanalancet Mills and showed her up and down and
Oh gosh,
all
yeah.
over the place. So it was neat. So have you met any interesting people in your first 2 months or?
Well, I
Or
think
first
that,
month,
well, the people of Lowell are interesting.
True.
But I'm mostly either at work in Boston or here in Lowell, so, working for the city. So.
Would you tell people what you do, because I think that's very important in your resume.
Okay, well, I've worked in construction for nearly 20 years, and in that time I've worked for construction managers for the engineering side of things and also for the subcontractor. I worked for a fire protection company.
Okay.
So, and what my company does currently is we specialize in renovating schools that are occupied. So, and I've loved working in construction. It's been such a great experience. I love what I do, and being in this field is fantastic. I've run the gamut from renovating small little one-room office buildings to building 2 cogeneration plants in in the desert of California for Molycorp, the United States
What did you
first.
use? What kind was it? What kind of cogeneration was it? What kind of fuel
It
was
was turbine.
It was turbine?
And so yeah, it was a fascinating project, and they tried to be the first rare earths mine in the United States to rival China, and I left before that project was really 100% complete. But it was nice, and everyone asks me, so how was Las Vegas? Because I was staying in Las Vegas at the time, but when I'm up at 6 in the morning to head out to the desert for the whole day, and then I'd get back and I'd be exhausted by the end of the day. I'd eat dinner and go to bed.
Yeah, I can imagine that life in the desert is a little different than life in the
it was quite different. But so I didn't get to see much of Las Vegas while I was in Las Vegas.
Oh, didn't you know?
No.
I have to say, I'm not much of a gambler, so it's never been like a big pull for me. I have never been to the Connecticut places or anything like that, but Las Vegas is Las Vegas. It's got this history to it.
Yes.
And it's kind of an interesting history. So,
yes.
So I don't mind reading about it, but I don't think I'd ever want to necessarily visit it. So.
Well, my first experience with being at a casino was with my sister, and we went, and she said, "Karen, go to roulette, because roulette is the easiest thing to win. It's so easy, and you'll win, right?" So I'm at the roulette table, and I'm playing, and I have no idea what I'm doing, because it was my first time. And so I lose everything at the roulette table. And so the man who was he was working the roulette table, he looks at me and he says, "Is this your first time?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And he said, "Gee, people who it's their first time usually win." And I was like, "Oh, gee, thanks." Is that supposed to make me feel better? So that was,
I've never been into gambling. I had a situation with my brother who said to me, "Let's toss pennies, and whoever lands on heads wins." I didn't land on heads. I had 76 cents and he had 18, and he ended up with my whole 76 cents. And that was a lot of money back in 1965, 64. You could buy quite a few candy bars with that. So anyway, so I never gambled after that.
Yeah, I think I tried maybe once or twice after that, but that was not a very good experience to come off of.
It's difficult. Well, we have to close. I'd like to thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this has been Peter's Principles. This is Jim Peters. You never know who you're going to have on Peter's Principles. And tonight we've had Karen. Oh no. Okay. And tonight we've had Karen Cirillo, the new city councilor from Centerville. Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay.